In this slideshow, we're going to talk about direct investment and collaborative strategies. There are many situations in which exporting may not be feasible, and here are some of the reasons why. It may be cheaper to produce a product abroad. There may be high transportation costs associated with the product. It doesn't make sense, for example, to ship refrigerators or stoves. There may be a lack of domestic capacity to produce enough to export. There may be a need to alter products or services to meet local preferences. There may be trade restrictions that make it difficult or impossible for you to export your product to that country. And there may be country of origin requirements that keep your product out of the country. There are three main reasons for direct investment. Internalization. The company can handle the operations itself at less cost than by contracting with another company. Appropriability. The company wants to exploit an innovation and capture all profits from it. Global strategy. The company is free to use foreign investment however it wants in order to advance its global strategy. There are two methods of foreign direct investment: buying and building. Reasons for buying a company or making an acquisition: it gives you immediate market position. It adds no further capacity to the market. It avoids startup problems, and it's easier to finance. Reasons for building your own company: no company is available for sale, or available companies may have problems. An example of this is when the Japanese automakers entered the U.S. to make cars in this country. They didn't buy the factories of General Motors, Ford, or Chrysler. They built their own factories so that they could avoid the problems that the American companies were having at the time. There are reasons for collaborating with other companies instead of going it alone: to spread and reduce costs, to specialize in your own competencies, to avoid competition, to secure vertical or horizontal links, and to learn from other companies. There are reasons for collaboration that are specific to international business. You gain location-specific assets. You overcome legal constraints. You diversify geographically, and you minimize exposure in risky environments. For example, most companies that have entered China have done that by collaborating with a Chinese company or with another foreign company. And they have done that for all the reasons that we see above here. There are various types of collaboration: licensing, franchising, management contract, turnkey operation, and joint venture. With licensing, you have two parties: the licensor, who owns the patents, copyrights, trademarks, and other intellectual property, and the licensee, which uses this intellectual property. The licensee pays royalty payments to the licensor, usually a % of sales, in return for using the intellectual property. This is widely used among high-tech companies which develop some technology that they license to other companies for use. Franchising is like licensing, but it goes beyond it. It provides an intangible asset like a trademark and continuing tangible assets. You have the franchisor, which owns the asset, and the franchisee that uses the asset. This is widely used in the soft drink industry and the fast food industry. For example, McDonald's around the world are generally done under franchising agreements. With a management contract, a company uses its expertise to manage operations while others take the risk of ownership. For example, hotels and motels are generally operated under management contracts. So if you see a Hilton Hotel or a Marriott Hotel, Hilton and Marriott are managing those operations, but they do not own them. Usually there's local ownership of these kinds of things. Then there's the turnkey operation, in which a company uses its expertise to build a plant and turn it over to owners to operate. In other words, they don't stay in management. Example of this is many industrial products, building plants for production and processing and so on, done under a turnkey operation by companies that specialize in building these kinds of plants. In a joint venture, two or more companies join forces to share expertise and risks. For example, oil exploration and development is usually done through joint ventures in which you have 2, 3, 4 companies sharing the risks and the investment and the technology requirements for oil exploration and development, which is very, very costly. In the process of establishing collaborative arrangements, you have to find a compatible partner, negotiate an agreement, write a contract, and assess performance under that contract. While there are many benefits in collaborative arrangements, there are also problems. Some of them are differences in importance to partners, differences in objectives, control problems, different values of contributions, and last but not least, differences in cultures. For example, the collaborative arrangement between Daimler-Benz and Chrysler had many problems, but one of the main problems was the difference in culture between the German and the American way of running an automobile company. Now take the quiz on this slideshow by clicking on the Quiz on Slideshow icon, which is right below the icon you clicked on to view this slideshow.